Hello, Top Fan Rivalry followers. What a treat. You get two, not just one, but two. Count them 1, 2. Or if you're an Astro fan, wipe your fingers off here real quick and count them to 1, 2. I mean, let's make sure there's nothing sticky on here. But good morning, Jackson. How are you? Another weekly review.
I'm doing all right. You know,
You like that? Like how I just subtly threw that in there?
yeah, I plead the fifth.
I believe it. There you go. So, Jackson, talk to me, sir. What do we start out with? We did a Monday, we did a Friday, but what are we starting out with today to discuss what's your number one?
All right, I'm probably going to steal your number one, and let's talk about Ellie De La Cruz for a second.
All right.
Stole 4 bases last night. Brings his total up to 30,
Mhm.
and joins a list of really fast guys for 30 stolen bases in 44 games.
Really
It's like
fast, guys.
including Ricky Henderson 4 times. But anyways, uh, he is on pace to steal 100 bases. Bill, do you know who the last 100 base stealer was? Trivia question.
Was it
We're gonna
Ricky?
No, he was the second to last. It was Vince Coleman in 1987.
Oh,
So,
well, I'm looking at his stats right now, and he's played 44 games. He's got 30 stolen bases. So if you basically times that out by
it's
three and a
easy,
half, which is, if he stays on this same pace, he'll still about 120 bases.
which would be insane. At the clip, he steals bases too, which is like 7 out of 8 percentage roughly wise.
Yeah,
That's really good.
yeah.
But yeah, he's having probably the quietest, MVP candidate season out of any because the Reds lineup has been terrible outside of him.
Hmm.
They are beaten. They're banged up. We talked about it last week. He is the bright spot for the Reds who have not been playing too well, and he wins them ball games.
So, Jackson, let me ask you this, and no disrespect to these other teams that I'm going to mention, but let me ask you this. Um, if he played in a bigger market team, LA, Chicago, Cubs, right now, White Sox,
Yeah.
um, St. Louis, who's had a lot of success, New York, um, he plays in a bigger market team. Does he get a lot more love?
I think
Boston?
I think it would be nonstop posts about him if he played for like Boston or the Dodgers or the Yankees. It would be like not like we talked about last week. It'd be nauseating if some of these guys played for big teams, but since he plays for Cincinnati, it's kind of just like, eh,
It's kind of like what?
eh. He plays
So
for the Reds.
So my favorite comment that you've made so far was he joins the list of really fast guys.
Yep. Uh,
Yeah.
it
There's no list, it's just really fast guys.
Okay. Off the top of my head, it's Kenny Lofton, Ricky Henderson 4 times, Vince Coleman, Lou Brock, and there's probably a couple other guys I'm missing in there.
No, no, it's just really fast guys.
Just really, really fast guys. But that's
Yeah,
all you need to know.
he joins the list of really fast guys. So let's just get it on record that he joins the list of really fast guys. Um,
Yes.
okay, so my number one is I'm gonna start off with some team information. Um, are the Twins really as good as they actually acted? Remember, they won what, 12 or 13 in a row, and then they won like 15 out of 17. And then now they're kind of hitting the skids. Do the Twins show well, or are they just kind of, they had a run and life's
I
good?
think that I think the Twins are exactly where they should be. I think the run corrected some earlier poor season play. I think 5 games above 500, hovering around that range, give or take a few wins, is about where they are as a club.
Okay,
I
okay.
think they've regressed back to the mean, to
So
say.
you don't think at all, you don't think the Twins are a playoff team?
I think they could be, but there's a lot of factors at play here. It's can Byron Buxton come back healthy and contribute? Can, Royce Lewis come back healthy and contribute? If they get their big bats back and it makes their offense more consistent, I think they can. I think they ran into the case with the Twins playing the Yankees these last couple of games, and they just can't seem to beat the Yankees at all as a
Mhm.
franchise history. You just look at it and you're like, why can the Twins beat everybody but the Yankees? So I think the Twins will be in the mix. I think they're definitely in the mix for a wild card spot at worst. But I think they are a playoff caliber team. But I'm not going to sit here and put 100% stock in saying the Twins will make the playoff because there's a lot of question marks with health.
Okay, so I'm gonna debunk your thought pattern for 1 second. Okay, and this is and I agree with you. There's a lot of question marks in regards to health, but I'm gonna debunk your thought pattern in 1 second because I don't think there's gonna be a wild card team that comes out of the Central. I unfortunately I think that you're gonna see two wild card teams come out of the American League East. You'll probably see either Baltimore or New York. You may even see Boston. Boston is pitching very, 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 very well. You're probably not going to see Toronto or Tampa Bay. Now, in the West, it's going to get wild, right? The Astros have started to show that they are the Astros, right? The team that they've been touted to be this whole time. So they've started to show that effort and that way of winning. So the Astros, Rangers, or Seattle is going to win that division, and they're going to have enough wins. I think that you're going to blow right past the Central. I don't like it, but it's going to be interesting. And I get where you're going with it. I don't know that I would agree that there's a wild card team there.
Yeah,
I mean,
I don't know. I'm not fully sold on the second place team in the West with how flip floppy it's been so far. So that's kind of my
yeah,
thought process.
there's a lot, yeah, there's a lot of truth to that.
Yeah,
there's a lot of truth to that. So yeah, yeah, huh? I agree. Lots and lots and lots and lots of truth to that. What do you got for number two?
I'll piggyback on that. We'll talk about those Houston Astros who've won five in a row. They're
Mhm.
12-6 since playing in Mexico. Uh, they've moved to 5 games back of the Mariners, who continue to win series, but they're not doing it elegantly or decisively. They're just kind of scraping wins together. They're only 4 games over 500, and we said it last week. You cannot let the Astros hang around because they're going to start doing stuff like this. Uh, really big for them. They have they have Framber Valdez back, and they're going to be getting back Christian Javier soon. Verlander's back, so this is a big weekend for Houston. They play Milwaukee. This will be a good test to see, if the Astros are back per se, playing a Milwaukee team that's playing really well. But it's a really big weekend for the AL West. I know it's still early, but Houston playing Milwaukee, and the Mariners have a tough test. They have to travel out east to play Baltimore. So there's some ground to gain there if the Houston Astros can continue their role.
So your and I's friend Dave, Big Dave, had said the Astros are in the midst of a 29 games in 30 days stretch. This is going to make or break our season. And I think he's right. So far it's making it, but again, if you look at who the Astros have to play, and you're speaking truth here, right? I agree. I'm just pulling it up here, but if you look at who they have to play the rest of the month, they've got the Brewers at home, then the Angels at home. That's fine. Then they got the A's and the Mariners. Um, but they um there you go. I was gonna say, wow, they do have a day off. So they got the Brewers and Mariners. I'm sorry, Brewers and Angels. They have a day off, and they get Oakland, Seattle, Minnesota, and St. Louis. So they've got some challenges there, a lot of American League West um, teams there. So they're gonna have to prove some things, right?
Yeah, their June as a whole after that Cardinals series, though, is not too bad. They played the Angels, the Giants, the Tigers, who are scuffling, the White Sox. Colorado, they got Colorado, New York in there, so there's definitely this might be the start of the Astros are back, or the Astros are finished.
We'll see. We'll see. Now,
We'll see.
most Astro fans that I've talked to have said that they think that the dynasty is coming to an end. They just don't think it's going to end this season. So, okay. My number two, you ready?
Yes.
This man's best season on the bump was 10-7 in 2022. He is now currently sitting with an ERA of 1.37 at 8-0. You know who this is?
It's Ranger Suarez.
That's right. Let's give some shine to this guy. So this guy's pitched 59 innings, got 58 strikeouts. He's 8-0. His best career season is 10-7. I don't know what's in the Wheaties. I don't know what's in the water in Philly. I don't know if he's eating an extra cheesesteak every day, if he's not whizzing the cheesesteak, if he's putting provolone on it. I don't know what he's doing, but he seems to be getting Philly, a very good Philly team, past the bump every single time, past the hurdle every single time for a win.
Yeah, I think it's the case of, a guy's throwing really well. It And I think it really helps that the Phillies on a whole are kind of on a roll. Like usually fuels pitchers that are pitching well. They have the confidence to go out there and just fill the strike zone up. He doesn't walk a lot of guys, which is probably the key to his success. Um, yeah, Suarez, he's a good pitcher, and he's just kind of on probably the run of his career right now. It'll be interesting to see how this early season usage affects him. The last couple of years, I live in Pennsylvania, so I'll check in on the Philly sports talk every once in a while. In the second half, he has since being converted to a starter. He started 29 games only once. That was 150 innings. He's already at 59 innings through 9 starts. So it'll be interesting to see how they kind of mitigate his usage to maybe have him remain effective going forward.
Yeah. No, 100%. 100%. And I'll be interested to see what happens leading up to the All-Star break. Um, and again, if leading up to the All-Star break, at the All-Star break, maybe, he's got what, 4 more starts? Well, maybe a little bit more, maybe 5. So let's say he goes 10-2 with a no decision. That's still a really good first half of the season, right? So if I'm him, I'm all kinds of excited about what's happening, right?
Yep.
What do you got number 3?
Number three, I was going to talk about one of those teams in the AL East that you mentioned earlier. And what has happened to the Toronto Blue Jays, Bill? They made the playoffs last year, played very terribly, and then this year they just kind of looked like the shell of the team that they were. Their offense has not been good. I think as a whole, OPS is down throughout all baseball, but the Blue Jays in particular only have a 668 OPS as a team, a 309 on base as a team. Really not good. Their best hitter's been Davis Schneider, who had a nice 35 game stint last year. If you remember that, he had over 1,000 OPS. This year he's got an 835 OPS. But to me, what really sticks out is the big guys. Bo Bichette's got a 607 OPS. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is only at a 760 OPS. George Springer, 572 OPS. Their lineup just looks really dead, and it's really unfortunate because Toronto's got some really solid pitching. But again, I talked about it last week, having to leapfrog teams. They're currently last in the East. So even if they make a run at the wild card, they'll probably have to, jump 2 to 3 teams in their own division, let alone other teams that might end up ahead of them or are currently ahead of them. So to me, it's just, I don't know. I feel like Toronto's set up to miss the playoffs this year, as weird as it sounds, because I know a lot of people picked them to make it to the playoffs.
Yeah. Um, I don't disagree with you. I literally don't disagree with you. I think that there's a lot of opportunity there for Toronto to miss the playoffs. I don't disagree with you there. They're not playing consistent baseball, and they went into Baltimore the other day. I was watching the game the other day, and Jackson, I could have screamed. I could have screamed. And the reason why is baseball's a game of momentum, right? Game of momentum, game of momentum, game of momentum. So there was a play at the plate that got reviewed. Now, I think they were up 2-1 at that point. Toronto's up 2-1. Play at the plate gets reviewed. The runner's called out. He's actually safe. They review it, but they just don't have enough evidence to overturn it. So they still call him out, batters out.
Yep.
The momentum for Toronto is just there, right? So the ninth inning comes up. You're up 2-1. All you gotta do is get 3 outs. First guy gets base hit, the next guy you walk. Well, now you got a problem because the next batter is Adley Rutschman. He hits a home run. 3 inches above the wall, by the way, 3 inches the other direction. It hits off the side of the wall, and it comes back into play. But you got to wrap things up. You play in a division with the Yankees and the Orioles, and you have got to wrap it up. If you don't, you're in trouble.
Yeah, and I think you're right. Consistency is the key. If you look at their stats across the board, I mean, they have pitchers who are throwing really well. Yusei Kikuchi, who's I think in the last year of his contract, so he might be a trade candidate come the trade deadline. So we might talk about him. But they got guys like Kevin Gossman, Jose Berrios. They have Chris Bassett. It this ball club should be a lot more consistent than it has been. Bo Bichette, who had 200 hits last year, just looks awful at the plate. So it's really kind of just it seems like they losing in the playoffs last year kind of made them lose their identity almost. And you're kind of building towards Guerrero's almost a free agent. Um, Kikuchi's they have some guys here that might have some trade value. You might see them try to retool or maybe blow it up.
Maybe,
It,
maybe. All I have to say though, my friend, all I have to say, Jackson, is Toronto's in trouble. They're in trouble. I mean, it when you're looking at standings on this, you're looking at them being 19 and 23. They're 9.5 games out of first place. With the Yankees playing the way that they are and the Orioles playing the way that they are, 9.5 games out, you've got to start making up some ground early. If you don't make up ground early, if you don't make up ground early, if you don't make up ground early, and let's just for a second say you end May at 9.5 back, you've got June, July, August, and September. You got 4 months to make up 9.5 games, assuming that you don't slide anymore, assuming that the Yankees and the Orioles slide. It's going to be a lot of hard work. It's going to be a
yeah.
lot of hard work.
And again, you got to leapfrog Boston and Tampa Bay, who Tampa Bay, by the way, is playing really well. So shout out to them. They got
Yeah,
back over 500.
back over exactly, exactly. Okay, so I have I have an honorable mention, but I'm going to mention to you my number three.
All
My
right.
number three, William Contreras, Shohei Ohtani, Mookie Betts. William Contreras has 61 hits. Like he's destroying the ball. Shohei, I think, has 65. Mookie has 63. All three are on their way. All three are on their way to having 200 hit seasons. When was the last time you had a catcher that had 200 hit season?
Oh, that was the trivia question last week. It's been a while. I think it was no, Pudge Rodriguez had 199, so Mike Piazza, I think, was the last one to do it.
Yep. And seeing that he's been in the Hall of Fame now for a half a dozen years or
I
whatever.
was gonna say it, yeah,
I mean,
a decade.
it's been a while since we've had one. Um, but it's interesting to me, Jackson, how these guys are hitting. I mean, it just seems like every day, it seems like every day I'm turning on the TV, watching my Dodgers play, and they're winning. But not only are they winning, they are getting hits like you wouldn't believe. And it's scary how many hits they're getting. So, yeah.
Well, yeah, anytime you turn on a Brewers highlight, it's William Contreras, clearing the bases with a double or something.
Yep. Yep.
So,
Yep. 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 Um, yeah. So I just there it's fun to watch, but it's getting to me it's getting exciting. It's getting exciting because the dog days of summer you're gonna hit and you know things will slow down, but yeah, it's fun. It's fun stuff. Okay. Honorable mentions. Do you got honorable mentions for me, Jackson?
my only honorable mention is shout out to Steve Cohen for uh, tweeting and then deleting something about the trade deadline already. Oh my, oh my, oh my. And
Shout
I'll
out to Uncle
just
Stevie. Shout out to Uncle Stevie. So,
yes.
um, so there's your honorable mention, Uncle Stevie. Mine's going to be a little unique, Jackson. It's going to go under the too late, too little, too late category. Colorado Rockies have won 7 in a row, and they beat good teams. And
Oh yeah.
so they beat the Rangers, they beat the Padres.
Yeah, they
I
swept the
interviewed a guy,
Rangers and then swept the Padres.
yeah, and I just interviewed a gal named Shannon who's a Padres, or I mean, who's a Rockies fan. She has a shirt of her dog in a um uh uh what do we call it jersey, like kind of like a jersey, like a gear for the Rockies. And Shannon said, "Oh, I wore this the night that we had our first win, and then I wore it the second night, third night. Now she won't take it off every time they're playing. She's wearing that shirt, and she says, I'm going to do it until they lose. Now they go up to San Francisco and play a very struggling Giants team, um, and so I wonder if that streak continues. Now I say too little, too late, and no disrespect to Rockies fans, but you're 15 and 28, and you're in the division with the Dodgers, who are 29 and 17. You're already 12 and a half out. It's going to take a lot for you to turn around. Now, wild card,
You know, the NL has a lot of mediocre teams right now.
uh-huh,
So I'm not gonna say there is zero chance that the Rockies make the playoffs. It's not very high, but it's higher than zero.
yeah, it's definitely
I'm
higher
just
than
gonna say,
zero. Well, and the other thing too, Jackson, is you're not in SoCal anymore, so you don't get to hear that.
yeah.
But Padres fans were going crazy on the fact that they took 2 out of 3 from the Dodgers. And I kind of laughed because I thought, okay, fellas, you took 2 out of 3 from the Dodgers. You lost 3 games in the schedule, but you only gained 1 game, and now you're only 5.5 back. Well, then they proceeded to lose 3 to the Rockies, and the Dodgers won 2 out of 3 in San Francisco. So the Dodgers picked up that game again. And I'm like, well, now you lost 6 games off the schedule, and now you're right back where you started when that series started. I don't understand the Padres. I they have such a talented team. They're in second place, but they're 22 and 24. I don't get it.
It's that consistency. It's and a lot of it could also be chalked up to management as a whole over the last couple of years. They lose a lot of close games, Bill, and
Mhm.
to me, that's more telling of management rather than the players. You know,
And
or your analytical department. A lot of managers manage and live and die by the analytical department. I wish there was more managers that were old school and just went with the gut. You know, you have your seventh inning, your eighth inning, your ninth inning guy, because that is there's a reason why they did that for 40 years. It's the proven formula.
and and that very well could be the case. That very well could be the case. I get a kick out of it, Jackson, when people get all kinds of crazy about this stuff because um, yeah, it's just you've got to understand. You got to do some things and you got to do them well. And if you're the Padres, you don't know where the Giants are going to play into the factor. You don't know where Arizona plays in the factor. You know where the Dodgers are going to play into the, and so you've got to it's weird, man. I mean, they were all kinds of chatter, and I wanted to tell all of them, chill. You guys just lost 6 games off the schedule, and you're right back to where you were
Hmm.
6 games later. La
Well,
chill, chilly
it
chill.
it's May, so it's we got to remember there's still a lot of time, but you also going back to you don't want to be a team that started like the Astros because it's just a bigger hole to dig out of. So it's early, but it's not early. We're coming up on June here. That'll be 2 months through the season. That's when stuff really kind of goes, you need to either, start your run now or you're going to miss the playoffs because every game counts. The early games count. Ask
Well,
San Diego that. Ask Seattle that. The past couple of years, when you need one game to get in the playoffs, you can't be sitting there going, man, we should have gone, 45 and 20 over our last 65 games instead of 44 and 20. No, you should have won more games in April and May.
so if the season were to end right now, and that's you know, if the season were to end right now, the Padres would be tied with the Diamondbacks and the Nationals to get into the wild card. But that being said, they do have the tiebreaker. So the Padres would squeak in. But when you're 46 games into it, you're 2 games under 500 with that lineup that you have. Are you sure? Are you sure? So, yeah, it's just, to me, it doesn't make any sense, Jackson. But, you know, hey, the Rockies are only 5.5 games out of a wild card spot. Now, mind you, they have to jump the entire league.
Yeah.
But you know, and the Angels
But
are only 8.5 games out of a wild card spot.
I was gonna say the power of friendship is still on the table, Bill.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
So,
So, all right, Jackson. As we wrap up, let's let everybody know a couple things. First of all, what code do they use if they don't want to pay full price?
use code Jackson. Don't pay for full price on anything on topfanrivalry.com. Use code Jackson. You get 10% off everything in the shop. If you
10%
can buy
off.
if you can buy it, I'll discount it. Use code
Yeah,
Jackson.
exactly. Code Jackson. If you buy it, we'll discount it, Jackson says. All right. So here's what you need to know. If you're listening to this in the if you're listening to this in the locker room, great, fantastic. You're already in, you understand. If you're listening to this on YouTube, please understand that for a couple of weeks, we're going to put these on YouTube. And then, like Disney, they're going back in the vault. Okay. So go to topfanrivalry.com and get your locker room access so that you can continue to see Jackson. You can continue to see all other 10 podcasts that we do every single week that's back there, plus articles, the amount of articles. Jackson, do you write articles for Top Fan?
I do. I have an article that releases every Monday. The topic varies by week. I get free reign to write about whatever I want. So this last week, I believe I wrote about Gunnar Henderson of
Uh-huh.
the Baltimore Orioles. The week before, I wrote about the Oakland A's.
Yep.
Uh, this next week, it's a secret. You'll have to find out Monday.
Double secret probation. Double secret probation. So so make sure that you're getting your locker room access. Now, please understand, membership has its perks. This isn't a plug, but membership has its perks. Not only as a locker room access member do you get 10% off all of our merchandise, but you use code Jackson, you get another 10%. Jackson, guess what? That we launched the collectibles division, right? We just got access to a 1961 Yogi Berra card, which moved. The person that actually purchased it got it for a 20% discount because they're a locker room access and they had a code. We have a Jeff Kent rookie card. We have a 1961 Sandy Koufax card.
Oh, man.
And we have a 1973 Roberto Clemente card, which is the last card that they made of it. Now, it's not always going to be baseball cards. There's going to be other collectibles and things like that. But Jackson, can you imagine if you had a PSA graded card and you got 20% off the retail price on it because they're locker room access and they use code Jackson?
Yeah, to me, it sounds like a great deal.
Yeah, you don't lose at all. That's a win-win scenario. I mean
Yeah.
that that Sandy Koufax card that we have access to retails for about $370. So imagine if you could get it for about $300 because you're a locker room access card.
It's a nice little pickup there, you know?
Yep. All right, Mr. Jackson, let's do it again next week. Yeah.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right. Have a good one.
You too.